Good morning, everyone. Lots going on as usual. Today is Friday, November 14th, 2025. And I got the wrong thing up. CSIS director. Yesterday, the CSIS director made a speech, and I listened to the whole speech. It was interesting. He dwells on ideological violent extremism and radicalization online. There's a big chunk of the speech talking about that, and I feel like we'll talk about it there, but it's certainly opening the door. There are other people who give some color on it as well, and I found their insights interesting, and I wanted to watch the speech to see if their insights were borne out, like if what they said was actually said. And I think that there's a lot of similarities in how they interpreted it to what was actually said. So it's 26 minutes, no sound at the beginning of the speech. It's very interesting because I thought, oh man, like if they strip the sound out of this to make sure nobody watches it, after 5 minutes in the main speech part, there is sound, right? So very interesting speech happening there. No trade deal with the United States yet, but the U.S. is announcing a trade deal with South Korea about submarines. Wasn't Mark Carney just shopping for submarines in South Korea? Weird. What's going on there, right? Olivia Chow is complaining about the lost revenue from the speed cameras and job losses. She's threatening job losses. These cameras only came in 2017. So what? Like how are these people so incapable of managing a budget? Oh, because they're trying to bankrupt the place? Gotcha. I understand. Dave Eby hates pipelines, and he goes all Hulk mad about pipelines, and he talks about how there is no pipeline. Stop asking me about the pipelines. There's nothing to see here. Moving on. There's no pipeline. It's never going to happen, basically. And so that's a weird position for one premier to take against another province in the country. And it's very, very strange. Like you would expect that's kind of Twitter diplomacy. You would expect the premiers to have, but not backdoor communication, but conversations about that kind of stuff. Like, will you ever allow a pipeline to get to Tidewater? No. That's the end of the conversation, and you're doing that publicly? Weird, right? Weird. But I'll show you that video. What happens if you're successful at organizing? I will show you what happens. Dallas Brody gets to do her speech, but her speech is not able to be played in a hotel or in a reception area or anything like that. She couldn't get a venue, so she went outside and had to do her speech outside. So that's what happens when you are effective at organizing. So holy smoke, there's lots to get to. Let's get to it. First, I want to do a quick show note as well. There are 200 people a day, honestly, genuinely, 200 people a day who use CanadaReport.co. The only thing really on CanadaReport.co is a list of links that I use to make the show. So I find that funny, and like it's a lot of people for such a silly little website. But I don't think it's a very good interface. The initial intent of CanadaReport.co was to replace Reddit because what happened to the Canadian subreddits on Reddit.com when it used to be good, it was great because you could have conversations and people would converse in good faith. It wasn't an ideological battleground, right? Which maybe I'm foolish, but the intent of this website, it looks like the Drudge Report, right? If you look at the Drudge Report circa 2015, it looks like that. So it's got a Drudge Report style and it's kind of newsy, but it's okay. But I like the idea of being able to upvote and downvote. So the original intent of Canada Report was to be able to upvote and downvote news articles. So if you go to Canada Report and you use Canada Report regularly, think about going over and using Linkroll, because Linkroll, you can submit your own, and there's a whole bunch of little subreddits and a whole bunch of other stuff. Subreddits? Subs, whatever. Subtags, whatever they're called. I don't know what they're called anymore. But fundamentally, I think it's a better interface. So I'm gonna push this for a little while. I want to test it. I'm gonna roll it out. It's a plugin for WordPress sites. So if you have, like, if a person is trying to make their own WordPress site, they're going to be able to buy this plugin and run it on their own site. So it's a product that I'm building, but I also think that the product stands alone, just this website by itself, because like whoever sets up their own website with this product will be able to define their own subcategories and things like that. So if you're very mechanically, like if you've got an AI thing or mechanically engineering or whatever, other people may be interested in this. And it doesn't take very many people to make it worthwhile. The upvotes and downvotes will help sort the good from the bad content, right? See? So anyway, I think it's a better interface, but try it out if you wouldn't mind. It would help me out. Upvote and downvote, or upvote and downvote things, I guess. But try it out if you wouldn't mind. Anyway, lots to get to. Let's get to it first. Sorry for the commercial before the show. I don't often do this, but I'm having fun playing with this, and I need other people to use it to go to the next level with it, if that makes sense. Anyway, thank you for indulging me. Barbara says, let's talk about the new projects. So Mark Carney is trying to pretend that he's moving forward with a Building Canada something or other, the economy or whatever. Oh, and if there's problems with Linkroll, please do let me know. I can get the emails. There's no emails being sent by the platform yet. But if there's problems, there's a contact form at the bottom. So you can just let me know and I'll fix it. I don't know if there's problems. I am using it to see if there's problems and to see how it works and if it can stand up to the use. But if there's problems, if you see something, a problem or anything like that, please let me know. Anyway, let's get into this. The projects that Mark Carney is trying to bring to fruition are largely projects that have already been set up, paid for, they're almost done. So he shows up right at the finish line, kind of like that running thing that he did, where everybody else had a race number and he didn't have a race number. It looked like he was just jogging around the corner and he looked awkward at jogging. So I don't know if I believe it. He's doing the same thing with all of these announcements. It's just political. It's not actually building anything in Canada. So Barbara is calling him out. She's a CPC MP, or she was police officer, veteran, police exemplary service, Ontario Conservative candidate of record. So she's not an MP, but she did run for the CPC. And she's got CPC in her name there, which is why I thought she was an MP. Today, PM Carney proudly announced money to restore the White Rock Pier, except that same pier was fully rebuilt in 2019 with insurance and provincial support. Already fixed, already paid for. Why are we funding it again? So here's Mark Carney announcing the White Rock Pier. He says the White Rock Pier is an iconic BC destination and economic driver of MP Ernie Kay and the community here have been at work to restore and preserve it. So we're stepping in and investing to revitalize the pier in budget 25. So it was already done in 2019, right? So White Rock Pier to reopen to the public this morning after extensive repairs, October 27th, 2019. So there you go. We're gonna do it again, or just pretend that this old project. Do you think they're really rebuilding it after 5 years? I don't think so, right? I don't think so. Here's Mark Carney, and at the end, he talks about decarbonized oil and gas. I want you to hear the question, and then I'm going to jump ahead, because the other thing I want you to hear is all of the speech training that Mark Carney has done has evaporated, completely gone. I have no idea what happened. He's off teleprompter. He's off his notes. I don't know what's happened. This is a tick, and he's off his medication. I have no idea. The speculation is he can't speak when he has to speak off the top of his head, and instead he shifts right back into the ums and the ahs. Weird. Here we go.
Hey there, Andrew Johnson with CTV National News. Prime Minister, where do negotiations stand with Alberta on the so-called grand bargain? Premier Danielle Smith was hoping to achieve a deal by the Grey Cup on new energy projects. Is that going to happen?
We call it a memorandum of understanding, as does the Premier.
We need, and we're the meme artists to get the us counted on here, like bing, 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 bing.
Those discussions are going well.
Bing. Bing.
We're encouraged I'm personally encouraged by the progress that we're making. There's a few more issues that we're working on ironing out, looking forward to that progress over the course of the coming weeks. This is a very important process for the process.
He could have said this in 30 seconds without all the us. Okay, we're just going to fast forward to the last 40 seconds. He's talking here about decarbonizing oil and gas, and the idea is, I guess, offsets, but it seems like a money laundering scheme.
Big projects. One of the first bits of work that the Major Projects Office is very much engaged in is around the Pathways project and major carbon capture and storage. This is a huge opportunity for Canada to develop a new industry, to have decarbonized oil and gas, and it is very much part of these discussions that we're having with Alberta. How do we move that forward, part and parcel?
He's so boring. Like, he said decarbonized oil and gas, and I was listening for decarbonized oil and gas, and I still almost missed it. And I tightened up the clip. He's so boring. Even if you ask him a question, by the middle of his answer, you can't remember what you asked him because he says so much. Mark Nixon says Mark Carney is out here celebrating revitalizing the White Rock Pier, a pier that's already built. Just like every other national project, he brags about it. He swoops in at the finish, takes a photo, and claims victory. It's political looting, right? Yeah. Dan Albus is responding to Global Global in New Brunswick. And they're saying the Sissons mine, this is 18 hours ago, in New Brunswick, is included in Carney's second batch of major projects. This is another project. Oops, I'm not even there. This is another project that is, I'm not. Another project that is already underway. And Dan Albus says Liberals in 2017. In 2017, Dominic LeBlanc is, as the Federal Minister of Fisheries, Oceans, and the Canada Coast Guard, announced federal approval for the Sissons Mine project near Stanley, New Brunswick. The mine, which would extract tungsten and molybdenum, I'm getting that terribly wrong, was a significant development in the region, and LeBlanc indicated construction would begin the following spring. The Sissons Mine in New Brunswick is included in Carney's second batch of major projects. So yeah, it's taking credit where other people, it's like honor theft. Is that what it's called? What did what's his name do? Baines, right? He was stealing honor by pretending he was in a place that he wasn't. It's like, oh yeah, I totally helped with all this, right? Ooh, good job. I'm the best prime minister ever. Sure, buddy. Go jog around the block again. Dan Albus says, anonymous Liberal sources leaked to the CBC that the Sissons mine will be on Carney's major project list on November 11th. Northcliffe Resources owns 88.5% of the Sissons mine. What? American owned? Are you kidding me? So Mark says Carney wants Canadians to bankroll an LNG project that's American owned and built overseas with Chinese steel. Built in Korea, Chinese steel, American owned. Why are we investing in this? Carney says, absolutely nothing for a minute. It's wild. When pressed on why we should subsidize a foreign-built, foreign-owned LNG mega project, Mark Carney spits out the most panicked word salad imaginable. And here's just another one. CBC Watcher says, Kai Nataka, this is the question. As it stands, Western LNG is the owner of Chi Lism's terminal, and it would be built in Korea with Korean and Chinese steel. How much taxpayer money are we prepared to invest in a project that is American-owned and foreign-built? And Mark Carney cannot answer this question. So here's the question and the response. And again, sometimes if you want to have a serious conversation with somebody and the serious subject is like a single subject, like how much money are we investing in this foreign project? You should write that down on a piece of paper and circle it. And if you're talking about anything but that, you have to get back to that question, that main question that's circled on your piece of paper there. That's the thing you have to talk about, nothing else. Even if they're like, no, there's a reason, I'm going to get back to it. No, you have to answer how much tax dollars, cash money, how many with zeros, are we paying for this foreign American-owned project? That's the question you need to answer. Not like, 3 stages of why we're paying for this. Like the word salad nonsense that he comes up with. Ridiculous. Here we go.
Thank you so much.
Can we have the last question? Sure. Just sorry. Yeah. Sorry.
Stolen valor. Thank you.
From Dogwood News. Following up on this question. So, as it stands, Western LNG is the owner of the Chi Lism's terminal, and it would be built in Korea with Korean and Chinese steel. So, how much taxpayer money are we prepared to invest in a project that is American owned and foreign built?
There are different aspects of the project, as I said. There is the PRGT pipeline, which is necessary, which is Canadian owned, First Nation. Sorry, can I finish? There is the
You're not answering the questions there.
Associated transmission line that comes there. There are structures that come with projects that ensure that there is returns to taxpayers through the tax system as well. And the structure of the financing is a decision that we take with the full information of the project design. So that's part of, we answer that question with full information by doing the work, and that's what the referral to the major project office facilitates.
How much tax dollars are we spending on this foreign-owned project? Did you say anything that had to do anything with anything of that? No, I didn't think so. So Mark Carney is expert at saying a lot while saying nothing at all, right? Pretty wild. Deception. Heather says, Candace Lang says Carney's major projects patchwork leaves holes in our economic growth. If you're lucky, the government will pick you only if the project is done. Cannot be the long-term message we send to project proponents and investors. Yep. That's a good way to look at things. This is a Globe and Mail article, and so I would have fleshed out what they mean by that a little bit more. But it's paywalled, and the Globe and Mail is just garbage. It's garbage. Here's Dave Eby, and this is his impassioned Twitter negotiation against any kind of development of any kind of pipeline to Tidewater ever. He says it's not happening. It's not happening. That's what he says in no uncertain terms. Here we go.
It is no surprise to me that there is no heavy oil pipeline on this list because there is no route, there is no proponent, there is no project. It is a figment of a communication person's mind in Alberta, and it has no connection to real investment in our country or in our province. If it goes ahead, it will only be because it is fully funded by taxpayers to the tune of $40 to $50 billion, and we already have a publicly owned pipeline.
Well, it's a better investment than Ukraine.
That is not operating at capacity and could take on significant additional capacity.
We'll do it then.
I remain frustrated that this appears to be an ongoing issue for Premier Smith. We've got so many things to work on together that could make a meaningful difference for her province and ours, whether it's around electricity rates in Alberta, whether it's around access to Tidewater for key products, whether it's around just working closely together as each other's major trading partners in Canada. So the door remains open. But let's be honest with ourselves, that pipeline is not happening, and that's why it's not on the list.
Right? I don't know about that. It's not happening. Keith says, BC wants to block Alberta's most valuable exports from reaching Tidewater ports. Imagine if Alberta took the same it's not happening position on BC's exports through Alberta. Every train or truck leaving BC headed to Toronto, Chicago, or the Maritimes must roll through Alberta, making Alberta the single choke point for BC's $17 billion worth of eastern trade in lumber, minerals, fruits, wines, and containerized consumer goods. Canada is no longer a nation. And so Canada is no longer a nation is a concerning final statement from somebody like Keith. Keith is a lawyer, right? And so lawyers are kind of prominent. Lawyers who are saying this country is destroying itself. This place is no longer a nation because of crap like this. That's significant. That's a significant indicator that something is seriously wrong with what's going on. And people are looking for the exits and looking for a way out of this madness, because this is pretty well madness, right? And so how do we fix this problem? It's going to collapse under its own weight, or it won't, and we'll just keep getting worse. North Korea exists. Those people exist. They live in that, right? China exists, man. Those people live in that. They want us to live in that, and we're acquiescing. Right? James is responding to this, and this is Dallas Brody. This is what happens if you are effective. People talk about using politics as a way to get ourselves out of this. Danielle Smith, have a very strong position. Donald Trump it, you know what I mean? And I think if you are effective at organizing at all, if you build a machine that is capable of taking on the second level of power in my 3 levels of power, which is the managerial class, which includes everybody all the way up to prime ministers and probably presidents, because the globalists are really running it, right? Like the seat of power is up here, not here. But if you build a machine from here, because we're the third level down here, if we build a machine that can effectively challenge the second class without the permission of the third class, because usually the only way you can get into this managerial class is with the permission of the third class. So if you build a machine down here like the truckers did to actually challenge this class, then they crush you. And the first way they crush you, I think it was Andrew Tate who said first they warn you, then like they threaten you, then they jail you, then they kill you, basically is what they do. And they will do that to your reputation first, and then maybe actually to your person. Maybe, right? So this is what happens. I want to be really clear. If you do this in a way that is politically correct, if you do this in the way that other political parties have risen in the past, they will crush you. And this is the modus operandi. This is what they will do to you, because I've had it done to me. So here's this guy. He's a 1BC representative, and he's coming up to address the crowd about what's going on. They're waiting for a speech by Dallas Brody, which they hear outside. Here we go.
Thanks for coming out, everyone. It's unfortunately have some bad news, which is that the venue here has now said that we need to leave. So, you know, this is actually the second venue today. We were over at the Thompson Hotel and Conference Center earlier today at around 10 a.m. setting up, kind of like this, the way we were getting set up. And they apparently received a call from general manager at Coast Hotels to the manager at the Thompson Hotel and Conference Center. And the announcement was, and then after that conversation with the Thompson Hotel and Conference Center, they told us that we needed to leave. So we secured this venue, and now apparently out of the hands of the local manager here, who actually seems quite receptive to hosting us here today, their corporate headquarters apparently has told him that it's out of his hands and that we need to leave. So
what if we don't leave?
they would call RCMP. And the front desk manager, the lady in the front desk, has actually been tremendously helpful as well. I think they kind of sympathize with what's going on here. And now there's a cul-de-sac right outside here. We have a megaphone, so we will continue the event just outside here on the public street in the cul-de-sac, so it is safe for everyone. There's a little hill there. You can kind of stand on the hill, so you're off the street. And Dallas will deliver a speech there. And yeah, so I would just ask that we kind of head out that way. There's a couple of us that can lead the way there, and we'll hold these up outside. We'll take any questions, and thank you so much for coming today.
And that's done to undermine the professionalism of the party. They're trying to make the party look bad. Here's Dallas Brody's speech, or part of it. We'll listen to the first minute, and then I got to kill the stream. Oh, is this fast? I hope it's not fast. It's fast. It has been a couple of days since the last instance of too fast talking. Apologies. Here's Dallas Brody.
By immediately stopping all voluntary transfers of money and land to Indigenous groups. Then we have to repeal something called DRIPA, which is a Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples Act, which was brought into force by a unanimous vote of the BC legislature, BC United Party and the NDP brought it in, which required that everything that's in UNDRIP, which is the UN Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People, be embedded into our laws, and that all of our laws be rewritten to be in alignment with this document from the UN. Okay? So we would repeal DRIPA, and then we would declare that UNDRIP is of no force in effect in British Columbia, and then we would demand, sort of along the lines of what Danielle Smith is doing, that we want a constitutional amendment to remove Section 35 from the Constitution of Canada, or we may not be able to stay here, like just Alberta's saying, we can't keep going like this. And then finally, a repeal of the Indian Act, and allow Indian reserves to exist as townships, municipalities, and function in an orderly manner the way other small governments do, and allow Native people to have fee simple to their lands, which is really holding down the young population of Indigenous people. They are not being treated well on their reserves, and all this billions and billions of money that's been going out is not getting down to the average Native person. These kids are still suffering. They are dying at rates that are unbelievable from fentanyl overdoses and depression and sadness, and 70% of the children who are in foster care right now are Aboriginal in BC. I mean, think about that. Also, since the NDP came in, the average lifespan of Native people has dropped by 6 full years. Come on, that's not progress. We're regressing. And so we need to stop this, but the money is going to what I call the industry. And that's comprised of chiefs and council, lawyers, lots of lawyers, accountants, consultants, and developers. And a lot of these businesses here are probably somehow controlled by what's going on here, which is why they're saying, get these people out of here. We don't want them talking about this. You know, anybody who's taking money from this file is, enjoying it. It's a boondoggle, but it's not helping the Native kids we see struggling. And we all want a better life for them.
Well, and for everybody else as well, not to be throwing money to enrich already rich police chiefs, or other people who are bilking off this system. So it's, I think that we should do something about it, and it's crazy that we're not. With that, we have to say goodbye to the stream. So thanks for watching, everybody. And if you want the whole show, head over to CanadaPoly.com. If not, that's okay. We will